All right, welcome everyone to this live stream where I am going to be, the main focus of this live stream will be to talk about, to show you how you can quickly and efficiently level your Cannith Crafting levels. I like to start off my live streams with a song a lot of times because that way it gives people a few minutes to sit down, grab a drink or whatever, and people that joined a few minutes late won't miss anything. And that was a song called Devils in the Details by a band called Jimkata, whose music that I have featured in a lot of my videos over the years, especially my early videos. It's my favorite small band based out of Ithaca, New York, and that's one of my favorite songs by them. So, the first thing I want to say is that if you are totally new to Cannith Crafting, and I want to, I want to know, for those of you watching right now, let me know in chat. Let me know who's totally new to Cannith Crafting. You've never done it before. Maybe you've done the old system, you haven't touched the new, or you're still very new to the new system. But if you are very new to it, I want to make sure that you're aware of my beginner's guide to Cannith Crafting. And that's, if you're new, I recommend looking at that video. It's kind of long, it's an hour-long video, but I really hold your hand through it all. I start with the very basics, and, I show you, everything, starting with the basics and showing you what you need to know to learn crafting. And I take it at a real comfortable, slow pace. Like I said, it's designed for beginners. Now, before, when we had the old system, I had a beginner's guide to Cannith Crafting in the old system. And a few months after that came out, I came out with an advanced guide to Cannith Crafting, which wasn't supposed to be like an expert thing. It was just some stuff beyond what was in the beginner's guide, and I had aspired to do that with the new system. And I actually have some notes written up of things that I want, but it just didn't seem there wasn't enough bulk for me to do another video called the advanced. So I'm going to actually include some of that stuff today too. We got a big crafting bonus weekend right now, Labor Day weekend. You're getting a bonus 100% to crafting experience. So now is the time to level. And I figured, what I'm going to show you today is going to be the most important part that was going to be in that advanced guide, which is how to level quickly and efficiently. But I'm going to show you some other things too, and we're going to do some Q&As. Before I get to the heart of that, and it's really easy, but it's not intuitive. If somebody doesn't explain it to you or show it to you, you might not realize that this is how you do it, especially if you use the old system, because the old system, the way that you would want to level up was different than the way you want to level up in the new system. So before I get to the crux of what I want to show you, I want to mention a few other things. So if you haven't gotten your supplies yet, you can use the code CRAFTMORE to get a free 75% crafting experience elixir. This thing right here, Greater Crafting Experience Elixir. CRAFTMORE, CRAFTMOR. I'll type it in the chat right now. So make sure you get that. And your big 100% bonus to crafting XP is going through September 4th. So you still got time. What's today? September 2nd. Hey Lewis, welcome. So get your crafting experience elixir. Craft more. Okay, and I also want to do the silly little tutorial too, because there's a very important point here that I really want to emphasize. I mentioned this in the beginner's guide, but I can't emphasize it enough, just in case, is that the ingredients, the rewards that you get for doing this silly little tutorial, which is only going to take a couple minutes, are bound to account. So you can go on your mules and your alts, get all the rewards and move them over to your crafter. So you have to do this tutorial in the House K crafting hall. So let's do the tutorial. And the first thing he says is just go buy some deconstruction materials, which I already have. They want you to get the dust of disjunction and the dissolver. Oh, he already jumped to the second step because I had that stuff in my inventory already. So now he's just said, you know, go crunch that. That's your next step. He just tells you to do like 4 things. You know, buy supplies, crunch something. It's just like a very basic tutorial. So we're going to dissolve that. And you got to make sure that the essence is not in your bag. Otherwise, he doesn't recognize it. So now he says, go make a minimum level 1 shard, which is what I'm going to do right now. A minimum level 1 shard. Oh, I want to show you that this tune, this is not Ginger Spice or Voodoo or any of my tunes that I played. This is just a mule that I have, and I picked this one because it has no crafting levels. So I wanted to use this one as an example. So I'm showing you now I have no crafting levels, okay? I'm level 1, that's what you start with. Okay, minimum level 1 shard, which you have a 100% chance to craft right out the gate. Oops. So there's my minimum level 1 shard. And he's like, okay, good, you're on the right track. So now what he tells you to do is to disjunct this, which preps it for crafting, and then to apply the minimum level shard over here. I'm not, you know, I want to say again, this, you know, I'm not doing the whole crafting thing, you know, watch my beginner's guide. I just really wanted to drive home that these rewards are so important. Apply the minimum level shard. Boom, now I get my +1 heavy mace. I'm going to go back here. So that whole thing took me, what, 2 minutes to do? And then you get this reward list. A greater crafting experience elixir or 5 plus 25% success thingy dingies, okay? Bound to account. So like I said, go on all your alts, all your mules, and do this stupid little tutorial and get your crafting experience elixirs and get a bunch of these crafting success boosters. I'm going to take the success boosters, which you can see I already had quite a few up here. And the elixir that you get from the craft more code is the same elixir that you get from this end reward list here that I just did. See, they stack. So I have 4 of those. Okay. So go do those on all your mules. Now, what are you going to need to do what I'm about to level quickly and efficiently? Well, I would highly recommend that you, at the very least, you know, get the biggest crafting experience elixir you can. So at the very least, that 75% one that we just got, which you can get for free, I just showed you. And you also want to get the highest crafting success booster thingies that you can. At the very least, get some stacks of the +25ers that I just showed you how to get. But preferably, get the +35% ones that you can get from the store. And you can get, you know, you can get 25 of these for 150 points. So if you got the points, you know, this is going to help you level quickly and efficiently. It's going to help you not go through as many essences when you level up. I would also recommend that you go to the store and you get a +100% crafting XP elixir, and that's only 40 points, or you can get 5 for 160 points. That's super cheap. Getting one, I mean, with one that lasts a half an hour, you can make a lot of progress in half an hour, which is what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. So I highly recommend you go get the 100% from the store and the 35% boosters from the store. That's your best bet. But if you can't, you know, if you can't afford those, you don't have the points, whatever, at least get a bunch of the 25%ers, go on all your alts, get a stack of those, you know, and get yourself a few of the elixirs, of the 75% elixirs. Yeah, double bonus points going on right now. So just every reason is this is the weekend. If you're not, you know, if you don't have your crafting levels where you want them to be, now is the time. This is like the biggest XP boost weekend we've ever seen. Usually when they do it, I think it's just a 50% boost. And we're getting a 100% boost, plus they're giving away the free elixir. Bam. I'm going to crunch this thing that I just made to get it out of my inventory. I do want to show you, just in case I know there's going to be some people who are very new watching. I showed you when I started, this was just a mule. I was level 1 in Cannith Crafting, which is what you start with. Just doing that silly little tutorial took me to level 4. you can only do the tutorial once per toon, or excuse me, once per life per toon. So if you reincarnate, you epic, well, no, not epic. I guess if you racial reincarnate or true reincarnate, that same toon then can do that tutorial again. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to level quickly and efficiently. It's very easy, but like I said, if somebody didn't show you how to do it or explain to you how to do it, it's probably not intuitive. In my beginner's guide, I talked about how there's the ladder system that you just want to climb up. And you're just going to make minimum level shards. And that's all you're going to do is to level up. You're just making minimum level shards. So if you use the old system, you actually had to craft like suffix and prefix shards, and that's how you would level up. Well, here, you're just making minimum level shards. And all you're doing is walking up the ladder. You know, you got level 1 all the way up to level 34 shards. And you're just going to keep walking up that ladder. But the part that's not intuitive is that you actually want to go for the lowest percentage that you can possibly craft. Okay? And that's, see, when this new system came out, I wanted to get capped as soon as possible. You know, I'm a leader in my guild. I want to be able to craft for others. I want to learn the system quickly. And I wasted a lot of essences. I spent like 300,000 essences like that first day to cap. But you can actually, or not to cap, but to get really high. And you can actually, you know, I could have gotten there spending, you know, a 10th or a 5th of that. So in the old system, you know, you didn't even have a chance to craft something until you had at least 50%. Well, here, you can have a 1% chance to craft something, and you can try it. You know, and it's intuitive to look at it and go, man, I don't want to try something where I have a 3% chance to craft. Are you kidding me? I don't want to lose my stuff. But here's the thing. Okay, look at the amount of experience that you're getting for it. Okay, here's a minimum level 2 shard. Well, here's a minimum level 1 shard. Okay, I have a 100% chance to craft that. I only get 14 crafting XP for that. Here's a minimum level 2 shard. I have 46% chance to craft. I get 86 crafting XP for that. Level 3 shard, I only have a 13% chance, but I get 450 crafting XP for that. So that's what you want to look at. So intuitively, you look at that 13% chance and you think, I don't want to do that. I'm going to lose my stuff. But that's where the success boosters come in. You want to toss that in there. If you put your 35s in there, now that jumps up to 48%. That's a decent chance, and you're getting all that XP. So all you need is one success, and you're getting way more experience than you would from like crafting the level 1 or 2. Okay? I'm going to clear this out. I don't want to use my 35s. That's for when I'm serious. For purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to use the 25ers. And I'm also going to drink one of my crafting experience elixirs, just one of the 75s. But like I said, if you were, you know, this isn't a toon that I'm serious about leveling. So, you know, you got your crafter, get your 100% potion, get your 35% crafting success boosters, which are the highest percentage when you do this. Okay, so I'm level 4 now, right? So now with the booster, I get 618%. Or 618 crafting XP for that. So I'm going to hit that. Hell yeah. And let's watch the levels go up. We'll bring them over here. Okay, and I've got a stack of 10,000 essences to work with for purposes of this demonstration. Let's craft. Oh, first success. Boom. I just got up to level 35 from that one hit. I crafted one thing, and I spent 30 essences, and I just got to level 35. If I had a 100% booster going, it'd be 100% crafting elixir going, I would have gotten it even higher. That's one hit. Let's keep going. Oh, actually, no, I can't craft that same thing. Okay, so here's the thing. So now because I'm level 36, you know, crafting like all the way up to a level 30 shard, I have a 100% chance. Or, excuse me, level 3, I have a 100% chance. So let's clear this out. And let's open this back up to Well, we'll just open it up so because it sort of reopen it because it sort of resets to the levels that you can do. Okay, so now I look at the list and I can craft minimum level 6 shards. Okay? And that's only going to cost me 60 essences to do that. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to put my 25% boosters in there. I'm going to put these on another page so I don't accidentally use the 35%ers. Okay, I got a 45% chance to craft that. Now I'm going to get 825 XP for that. Let's do it. Okay, I didn't get it. I failed. I lost a few essences. But this is going to be more efficient in the long run to lose a few essences and do this than to try to do these ones where I have a 86% chance, but I'm only getting 127 crafting XP. There. One more hit. I'm up to level 54. I got 2 successes. I'm already up to crafting level 54. I'm going to close it out and reopen it. And now it's giving me a new list of things that I can try. So now I can craft up to the level 8 shard. I have a 13% chance. It's going to give me 1600 crafting XP, okay? So I'll put my boosters over there. I'm going to select that and hit craft. Okay, I lost a few essences there because I failed, no problem. Not worried about it. Another failure, no problem. Because when I get that success, the reward is so huge that it's worth losing a few ingredients over just to get that success. There it is. I just jumped up 20 more levels from that one success. Okay, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to reopen it. Now I can craft level 10 shards. I'm just going to keep doing this. This is all you're doing is you're working up the ladder. You're always going for the lowest possible percentage that you can do. Okay, even if it's like a 3% chance, that's what you want. Put your big booster in there. I've got over a third chance to get this. I'm going to get 2,000 crafting XP for this. Boom, first try. Now I'm level 89. Okay? What's the next one that's coming up? Okay, that says 0% chance, so with the booster it says 25, but I don't have a chance to craft it because it says 0. See, the crafting button is grayed out. But this one's 30%. I could go there, but if you get stuck, if you're not getting enough crafting XP, you can always go to the Unbound. I don't know if with this low a level that I would even have anything. Oh yeah, okay. So that's 30% as well. So that doesn't get me anywhere. So I'm just going to go back to the bound station. Bound shards. Let's bring my levels back up. Yeah, Amber Cyan, I covered the tutorial thing right at the beginning. And, I want to say again, for those of you just tuning in, this is not an all-encompassing guide to Cannith Crafting. I have a video separate for that. This is just really covering how to level quickly and efficiently. So if you don't know anything about Cannith Crafting and you're kind of confused about the things that I'm doing, go back and watch that video. And then watch this one again. And it'll make more sense. Okay, so I'm pulling up the list of minimum level shards. 30%, oops. 30% is my biggest hit right now. I'm going to put in my success boosters. I got a 55% chance. Craft. I'm up to level 95. Now what should your goal be? Look at this. I've only spent about 850 essences and I got up to level 95 from nothing. I spent 850 essences and I got to level 95 from nothing. And if you were, if you weren't, I'm taking the time to explain what I'm doing. If you were just hammering this out, well, you could have gotten to 95 in like 30 seconds. And all these minimum level shards, you don't throw them out. You might use those. Just stick them in your green bag. So what should your goal be? Your goal, if you are interested in just crafting for yourself, should be about 325. At level 325, you're going to have at least a chance to craft everything for yourself. In fact, the only thing that you won't have a 100% chance to craft at that level would be like the minimum level 33 and 34 shards. And they're level 30. It's just like power level 33 and 34. But you'd have a chance, you know. And when you got a success, you know, that would just increase your level even more. So about 325 is where you want to be if you just want to craft for yourself. If you want to craft for others, well, cap is 400. It is extremely, I don't want to say extremely difficult, but it's costly to get there. Because once you get, you know, once you get out of the low 300s, there's no more, you can't level up using minimum level shards anymore. You have to craft shards. And the cost of those shards is very expensive. You have to craft unbound shards, and unbound shards cost at least twice as much to craft as bound shards. It becomes very, very expensive. So you should only try to go for that 400 cap if you are very committed to crafting things for others. And even then, I want to, you know, show you something that, you know, it's not just once you get to 400 you get to craft everything all Willie Nelson. Like, there's still a big cost in terms of ingredients and in terms of what you're risking in terms of failures. And what I'm going to do in a bit is switch over to Ginger Spice, who is capped, and show you exactly what I mean. Because I don't want you to press on to 400 and then realize, man, this sucks. Because I still have a crap % chance to craft these highest tier shards. And again, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's just keep going for a few more minutes. Let's see how high I can get this tune that started with basically nothing. We're gonna do min level 4 shard, or min level 12. I failed, no problem. I failed again, no problem. Bam, I'm level 103. I'm gonna walk it up to 10%. For the 13. I'm failing a few times there, okay. Now I'm going to go up to the level 14 shard. I'm just going to use all my boosters up. I don't want to go beyond that. Oop, there's the level 15. Oh, no, you always want to keep jumping up. As soon as the next one becomes available, you want to go there. Minimum level 16 shard. I'm getting a big, 2200 XP from that. The first time, now the second time is 1300. Let's try it without the booster. 33% chance. Okay, so this is as far as I'm going to show you because this is the process. I just got to level 142 and I was nothing in what, 10 minutes? Which you could do even faster if you weren't taking the time to explain to somebody else. That's crazy awesome. My guildie was saying, he was just saying earlier that, I think it was during one of the last crafting bonus weekends that, he went from level 85 to 340 with 30,000 essences. Okay, I've just spent about 3,450 essences to get to level 142 from level 1, starting with nothing on this tune. Okay? At level 142, you can craft all kinds of great stuff, and you can see I didn't even invest that much. I was just crafting, just using those boosters that I got from the tutorial that I got for free from doing them on my alts and moving them over here. And I got a free crafting booster, XP Elixir too. But get the 100%, get the 35s if you want, if you can. So you just keep working up. As soon as the next one becomes available, like this one here, minimum level 17 shard, 6% chance. Hell yeah, that's what you want. You put your booster in there, that percentage goes way up. If it's okay if you fail a few times because you're getting 7,000 crafting XP for that. So that's the part that's not intuitive. You really want to go for that lowest percentage because the reward is disproportionately large. compared to, if you're just doing something like, this is why I wasted 300,000 essences when this first came out, because I was going, okay, I got a 76% chance to craft this, so I feel pretty good about that, right? Well, you're only getting 500 crafting XP for that. That's garbage compared to 7,000, right? So what if I fail a few times? I mean, it's 7,000. So you just keep doing what I showed you. Every time the next one becomes available, hit that. Get your boosters, drink your XP elixirs, and on this crafting, super duper crafting bonus weekend, 100% crafting XP, you can skyrocket your levels doing this really quickly. You can spend a half an hour, and you can be to places that you might have thought you never would be in terms of Cannith Crafting. And this is an awesome, awesome system. If you're knocking out, if you're doing like racial lives right now and you're going 1 to 20, Cannith Crafting is where it's at. I mean, this stuff is even good into epic levels, but especially in heroics, it's huge. Okay. Before I get into some other topics that I want to cover, that's all I'm going to say about leveling. I showed you a very simple and easy way to efficiently, quickly raise your crafting levels. Does anybody have any questions about this part of it before I go on to some other topics? I don't know the answer to your question, Mel, but maybe somebody in the chat does. Will already 10 levels in human mark 10 levels add to the 400 cap? I don't know. I don't think they do, because 400 is the cap. I don't think it's going to make you like 410 or 420, for example, but I really don't know. I've not played with either of those options. But how awesome is that? Level 142 in no time with 3,400 essences. Okay, what I'm going to do now, while you guys are thinking if you have any other questions, I'm going to switch over to Ginger Spice, who is capped, because I want to show you something about being at cap and about how, like I said, you better be serious if you're going to go there, because it's not all butterflies and roses when you get to 400. In fact, there are no butterflies and roses when you get to 400. It's just like a kick in the groin. You think there's going to be something at the end of the rainbow, and it's just like a big middle finger sticking up at you. Yeah, you're right, Drax. The cost in collectibles becomes prohibitive. Now, you can farm those out. If you don't know, and I cover this in my beginner's guide tutorial, but I'll say it here, that when you go to set, set up your crafting planner, you pick what you want to craft, and it shows you the ingredients that you need. If you mouse over any given collectible, it tells you where to farm it. It takes time to farm these, but it's really cool that that resource is there. I mean, I give mad props to the folks that put that together. That's freaking awesome. I was just looking at, there's the LSD put up the crafting builder light, or I forget what it's called, the Cannith Crafting planner light, and just awesome research. I haven't even played with it, but just reading through that post and the stuff that LSD put together, it's just amazing. And it just made me think about how, like, they're not getting anything for that. They did that on their own. We all get to benefit from that amazing resource. So, just thanks to everybody, the people putting the wiki together and everything. Like, it's just, I appreciate it. I've used a lot of those resources. Okay. Let's see if there are any other questions before we move on. Yeah, that's a good point, Bruce. So, what you really want to do if you're trying to build up your essences, if you're running alts, when you get trash loot, move it over to your crafter in your shared bank. pull it out on your crafter. And you don't have to do this every day. Just when your shared bank fills up, pull it on your crafter and disjunct it all. And your crafter will get a little bit of experience. It's not that much, but that's how you want to get your essences, is deconstruct all your trash loot. But it's definitely worth moving it over to your crafter, because like I said, you'll get a little bit of experience, but don't think you're going to level up by deconstructing stuff, because you just get like 5% at the most. It's like 1 to 5%. 1 to 5 crafting XP from doing that. And it's not affected by pots, which is really irritating, I mean, is that like overpowered if we get 10 XP out of deconstructing something? How much would I pay? That would be nice. To me, it's just a convenience, quality of life, and they talked about it. I was on the Players Council last year when they were coming out with this system, and they said they wanted to do that, but they didn't, for whatever reason. They ran out of time and resources, or maybe it just wasn't feasible. I don't know. I don't remember exactly the reason, but I know it was something that they wanted to do. Maybe we'll see it sometime, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But I'd like it. Well, Josiah, I want to say again, if you're lost when it comes to crafting, watch my beginner's guide to Cannith Crafting. That's what it's for. This is not a beginner's guide. This is about how to level quickly and efficiently. Go watch my beginner's guide. I'm going to put a link in this video description when we're done with the live stream, because this live stream will be up as a resource forever. But my beginner's guide on my channel, that it's for you. It's for people that know nothing about this, and I go right from the start, from the beginning, and I hold your hand through it all, and I take, slowly explain it all. It's an hour long. It's a little long, but like I said, it's really start from the basics, and I just talk you all the way through it. It's for you. So I hope that you'll take some time to look at that, and after you're done watching that, then watch this. And this will make a lot more sense. Okay, so so I switched to Ginger Spice, so let me show you that she's capped 400. It was painful too, because once you get to, I think it's I don't remember exactly, it's 370 or 380. I think it's 380. Once you get there, you hit a hard wall, and now you're having to craft stuff that is really, really expensive. 425 is the highest level shard. Okay, let's see. So once you get really high, so these are level 375 shards. So once you get out of that low 300s, you're having to start crafting this stuff. And you can see, like, just for one attempt, it's 750 essences, 30 smoldering embers, 10 of this crap, and 5 of this super rare crap, and then 10 purified Eberron dragon shard fragments, just for one attempt. And when you start getting to where you need to craft this stuff, you don't have a 100% chance. I mean, you just have a chance, and you could lose this stuff, and that's a lot. 5 encoded communities. That's for real. You can go on the shard exchange. 5 encoded communities might cost you 100 shards or more. 10 fractured femurs, that might cost you 50 shards right there, or 25. The stuff is expensive, and and who has a whole bunch of purified Eberron dragon shard fragments to toss around? Not very many of us. I certainly don't. Okay, but what I want to show you is that there's just the stuff that once you get beyond your 325, 330 range, and that's the range you want to get if you want to craft everything for self, and you should only go beyond that if you want to craft for others. The stuff at 375 is insightful accuracy, insightful spell resistance, insightful evocation. So there's some pretty cool stuff, but it's that top tier stuff that's level 425. Like insightful stat. I mean, this is like the big time stuff. To be able to craft insightful stats unbound. This is the unbound stuff. It's much lower level to craft it for yourself. But if you want to be able to craft it for somebody else, that's like 425. And this is the rub. Okay, your max crafting level is 400, and this stuff is level 425. So when you get to 400, all you have is a frickin' 3% chance to craft it. Okay, you stick a 35% booster in there, now you're only at 38% chance, which means you have about a 2/3 chance to get screwed when you attempt to make that shard, and you're going to lose a bunch of your ingredients too. Look at this stuff. This is expensive. 850 essences, 30 crit moths, 10 ornate charms, 5 tokens of the spinner, 10 purified Eberron dragon shards. When you have a 38% chance of that, and you're having to use your own resources, your 35% boosters. So the point is, I want to show you that even though I'm level 400, and the reason why I have, without any success boosters, I have a 16% chance to craft all these because I have had successful attempts crafting these. You start at 3%, and every time you successfully craft one of these, you get a 3 or 4% more chance. So I've crafted actually several of these and worked up from 3% to 16%. Individually, they will go up. Like if I craft an Insightful Strength shard, I'll go from 16 to 19 or 20, for example, just on Insightful Strength shard. So even if you're Cap and your buddy's like, hey man, can you craft me an Insightful Constitution shard? And you're like, man, I've got a frickin' 3% chance, and to even have a decent, a half-assed chance to craft it, I'm gonna have to use one of my own 35% boosters, okay? And that's only going to get me 38%, and then there's a chance I got basically a 2/3 chance that I'm going to lose some of your ingredients and get nothing for it. And that sucks, because most of us can't afford to be like, oh yeah, I'll cover you. I mentioned this in the beginner's guide. Like, you can't just craft everything for your buddies if you do for free. Like, if you do, you're going to run out of ingredients really fast. In the old system, it didn't cost very much. So if you were capped, no big deal. A lot of us, if we had the ingredient, we could just craft all day for our friends. But in this new system, you can't. You just don't have stacks of purified Emerald Dragon shards, stacks of Dragon's Blood ink, just laying around that you can just toss. If you start crafting for free for people, you're going to be out of ingredients really quick and then not have anything for yourself. So like with my guildies, this is one of the reasons why I want to be capped, because I want to be able to help them out. And if they need something unbound, I want to be able to make it for them. But at the same time, I'm like, you got to give me the ingredients because I don't have this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to go beyond the low 300s, you better be very serious about it. Because it's not once you get to 400 you get to craft everything. Because it's not how it works. As you can see, I have a crap % chance to craft these highest tier shards. Okay, I have some other topics I'm going to mention, but I want to read through some of the questions. Josiah says, I never wanted to get into crafting, but I'm seeing since coming back that it's the way to do things. Yeah, Cannith Crafting is so frickin' awesome. And the old system was cool. This system is way better. I love it. One of my gripes, though, is this right here. That there's no cap that gives you a 100% chance to craft everything. That even when you get to cap, you have garbage % chance to craft stuff unbound. On top of it being so damn expensive. It's kind of a rub. Because you have to spend so much resources to get there. Like I said, you get to 380, you're not crafting minimum level shards anymore. And by the way, this is another important point. I want to show you something. Okay? I want to look at these minimum level shards. Once you work up the ladder as high as you can on the bound station, then come over to the unbound station, and it's higher levels to do these unbound shards, these minimum level unbound shards. So when you hit your cap, you just switch over to the unbound shards, and that's going to take you a little bit further. That you can work up to about, I think it's 380, but after that, if you want to level beyond 380, and you got to get to 400 to have that 3% chance to craft those highest tier shards. The journey from 380 to 400 is so painful, is so costly in terms of ingredients, in terms of purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments, in terms of collectibles. So, like I said, I can't emphasize enough. If you're going to go to cap, you better be serious about it. Don't just do it because you're like, I want to be cap because that's the cap, and I just feel like I want to be there. You better be committed to crafting for others, otherwise you are wasting your time and resources. Okay, let's look at some other questions here before I cover a couple other topics. Bruce says, I bought a suit of mithril armor from the auction. So this is an important point. You can still find mithril stuff. It's very rare. It's been taken out of most of the loot tables, but it still drops in some of the older chains. So I want to show you something here because I just pulled one in Waterworks. Let's see, mithril. This one here. I just got this in Waterworks, this life, a light mithril shield, which I've already, prepped for crafting. I have it in my shared bank because I'm moved over to Voodoo. I had one of these on Voodoo already, but I was recrafting it constantly because I only had one. Well, now I have two, and I won't have to keep recrafting. So some of the Waterworks, I think maybe like Red Fens and like Sorrow Dusky. I'm not sure. You might be able to look them up on Wiki, but some of the older chains like Sharn Syndicate, you can get mithril stuff from the end rewards, and Mithril's pretty cool. Like, and with the small shield, what's cool about that is there's no arcane spell failure, so I like to use that for casters like my Warlock. As is, no arcane spell failure. Or you could use a large mithril shield, and then it has 5% arcane spell failure, and then you can, craft lesser arcane crafting dexterity or casting dexterity, whatever it's called, or use an augment to overcome the 5% early on. Okay, let's look at some other questions before we do other topics. To craft for yourself, what level did you say was a good starting place? Well, I just showed you on that tune that I started at level 1. What did I get to? Like level 150 in a few minutes. So, I mean, spending 3,450 essences. So, I mean, if you got to level 150, you're going to be able to craft plenty of stuff that is very useful for you. But so that's another thing that's cool about this system is that you don't have to be uber high level to start being able to craft stuff that's meaningful for you. Even if you were only level 50 or something, you'd be able to craft stuff for your lobies that was meaningful. Drax, that's a good point. I mentioned that in my beginner's guide, but junk tomes, stat tomes up to +5 and skill tomes up to +5, you can trade at the ingredients vendor, the crafting ingredients vendor, right here. You click I want to trade essences, and you can trade tomes for purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments. You can also trade small, medium, and large Eberron Dragon Shard fragments, which convert to 1, 2, and 3 purified Eberron Dragon Shard fragments right there as well. Claude went from 242 to 310 yesterday. Awesome, Gratz. That is so awesome. 40k essences. Seems a little expensive. But maybe you weren't using the big boosters or something. In any event, that's great. 310 is, I mean, you're pretty much where you want to be. A little bit higher, then you'll be able to craft everything. The only thing that's out of your reach right now is like the minimum level, the power level 33 and the power level 34 shards. You never bothered with Cannith Crafting, but you had bad memories of the old system. Just started leveling up to 10 minutes ago. Just went up 10 minutes ago and just went from 0 to 100. That's awesome, dude. That, like, you can do meaningful things with just 100, but like you saw, you can get way beyond that really quickly. Light Shadow says, so often be able to craft for yourself. An item you cannot find. Hell yeah. Yeah, the ability to craft your own tunes is super useful, Drax. Tokens of the 12 can be traded for purified Eberron Dragon Shards. Yes, that's correct, Amber Cyan. Thank you very much. I do cover that in my beginner's guide. That's a good point to re-emphasize here. Yeah, Dark Child, yes. So when I'm doing my ratio lives, my 1 to 20s, I always make sure that I get to 1750 favor, because you get that free +2 tome favor reward, and then I just crunch it. And I get, so every life I get 9 more purified Eberron Dragon Shards. Hell yeah. Got a lot of my guildies in here. Terran Darkchild is Inamurata from Reaper Life. Light Shadow, Little Mama is Little Mama. And I saw it earlier in here was Nimbin. Old system was easy to mess up and make item overload. Yeah, the old system. So if you haven't fiddled with the new system, the old system was complicated, and I avoided it for years. I was like, this, I don't even want to do it. I just want to play the game. I want to go run some quests. I don't want to, but I finally was like, okay, I'm going to learn it because, I started to become a leader in my guild and I wanted to be able to help others and explain it to others. So and plus the guys that were doing the crafting for me kind of like weren't playing anymore. So I was like, I got to do this. And so I learned it, but yeah, it was overly complicated. The new system is so well streamlined compared to the old system. I just love it, especially leveling. Leveling is so easy because you just work up. You Thank you, my guildie Zakosian can always be counted on to shadow hunt me during a live stream. You just have that ladder that you work up to level. It's just made to level. Okay. So some other topics that I just want to mention, since we're talking about crafting. Want to make sure you know that you can get trinkets from the DDO store to craft on. You may have to disjunct them to get them to become craftable when you first buy them. You can also use shards of power from the shroud to craft onto. So here's one that I've made minimum level 3, but what has been confusing to me, and maybe somebody out there has insight on this, is that newer shards that I've gotten, they don't want to go below minimum level 13. But I have this one from, days of old that I can craft any old minimum level onto, and you can see it's minimum level 3. So I don't know if it's just because, like, newer shards are programmed differently, or if I'm missing something. In any event, you can craft trinkets. At least by level 13, you can use shards of power from the shroud, regular shards of power, not greater shards and supreme shards, just regular tier 1 from part 1 of shroud. And then you can also, you can find these in random loot, extraordinarily rare. I don't even know if they still drop anymore, but I had some hanging around. If they were bound to character, you had them on another tune, you want to move them, just disjunct them, put a minimum level shard on there, it becomes bound to account, you can move it over. Totally awesome. Also, I think I mentioned this in the beginner's guide. It's a good point to emphasize. You can get flame touch weapon blanks from the chronoscope. Inside the chronoscope raid, inside that first tavern there, the Rusty Nail, you go to the back, there's the flame touch iron weapon vendor. You can buy those inside the raid and pull them out and then use them as crafting blanks. Flame touch weapons are good flagged to help overcome damage reduction. So if you're crafting a weapon, the very minimum that you should use is a flame touch blank from there. And it doesn't have all the weapons, it doesn't have exotic weapons like Kopesh's, but if you just want to make it like a longsword or a rapier or something, you can get it from there. So very minimum, go, even if you're not a raider, I mean, you can take your over level tune and just, normal heroic chronoscope, do the first fight, and then walk into the tavern. That's all you got to do is do the first fight to get there. And that's only like a level 6 on normal or something, It takes you a minute to get through that, if that, on an over level tune. So another thing I want to mention, and I didn't know this when I made the beginner's guide, is that, so let's say, okay, so you need, let me give an example of something. Let me get one of my level 10 items out the bank. Should have got this crap out of my inventory. Okay, let's find a level. There's one of my level 10 craftables. Okay, so this is an example of this is one of my level 10 rings here. I got Con 6 and Insightful Con 2, Poison Resistance 21. Why the hell do I have Poison Resistance on there? Well, if you run Reapers, you know why. Because those frickin' poison dots, as those champions do, are frickin' terrifying. So I actually craft Poison Resistance. That knocks off 21 points of damage from every tick of those dots, I might survive 1 or 2 more ticks. And that could be the difference between living and dying. Okay, so you need to have Marks of House Cannith in order to craft the extra slot, that insightful slot, right? You right out the gate, you get a suffix and a prefix, but if you want to get that extra slot, which you can't even craft onto an item until level 10, you need a Mark of House Cannith, okay? And you get those from the Cannith vendor. You have to have, I think, 50 Cannith favor, and then you can go up to the vendor and get some of those. But and those are bound to account. So you know, even if your crafter doesn't have access to that, you can get them on an alt and move them over. You can also find very, very rarely unbound marks of House Cannith. And if you find them in the auction house, they're probably going to be very expensive because they're extraordinarily rare. But if you wanted to craft for somebody else, you can, you know, take a crafting blank, put an unbound, you know, minimum level shard in there, and put a mark of House Cannith on it and give them that blank. In essence, giving them the mark of House Cannith. So I'll say again, you know, if your friend, normally, you know, your friend would have to have their own marks of House Cannith, and they would have to apply that to add that extra slot, that insightful slot. But you can actually add it for them and give them the item if you put it onto an item that's unbound. You have your blank, you've crafted the unbound, the minimum level shard onto the for your friend. They want a minimum level 10 ring like this, let's say. You take the ring, you put the unbound minimum level 10 shard on there. Now it's a minimum level 10 unbound ring. Then you put your mark of House Cannith on there. It's still unbound. Opening up that extra slot, then you can give that blank to your friend and they can start adding stuff to it if they want to. So that's a point I wanted to mention. Amber Science says trinkets do still drop, or at least you pulled one after the last update. That's good to know. They are extremely rare. I wish that there were, you know, random trinkets that we could disjunct. But even in the days that, you know, we had those, that you couldn't disjunct the, you know, the random trinkets that there were. Yeah, you definitely want to work towards getting that Cannith Favor. 50 Cannith Favor is easy to achieve by today's standards. You don't even have to do the raids. You don't even have to do any of the challenges. You know, you can just do the quests on Elite. They're level 19. Take your 30 in there, blow through them, do Brothers of the Forge. Boom, you got it. You can just do the 3 flagging quests on Elite, or you can do the 3 flagging quests on Hard and then do, you know, Brothers of the Forge on Hard. You'll get your 50 Favor. Hey, Rude, I'm glad that you found that tip helpful. Winter event has some trade trinkets, I think. I think that you can get trinkets like when you're trading in your cook, or I can't even remember. There's so many little trade-in systems now. But yeah, when you're trading in your coins, I think you have a chance to get trinkets. That's a good point, Drax. So yeah, when the festival comes around and you get all your, I guess it's your coins, yeah. Start turning them in. Or no, yeah. You have a chance to get trinkets. Yeah, random loot trinkets with augment slots would be so awesome. Bolo Grub pulled a trinket last life. That's good to know. They're so rare, you know, I haven't seen one in a while, but yeah, that's awesome. Asbeal, you know, I don't know if you're just tuning in or something, but go watch my beginner's guide to Cannith Crafting, because the stuff I'm covering here is just sort of like beyond that. It's on my channel right there is a crafting section. It's the first one. And I'll put a link in this video description once we're done and this live stream gets posted permanently. Can you ask a question about Slaver's Crafting? Go for it. Hey, Gijo, here, link the trinket, and that's Bolo Grub from chat. There it is. Which is the same thing I'm using here. This is just one that's been crafted on. Yeah, go ahead and ask a question about Slaver's Crafting. I do have a video up about Slaver's Crafting. You're very welcome, Drax. I'm glad you found it helpful. I hope you'll share it with your guildies, you know. The mythic slot. So you're talking about the statuettes and the bust. The statuettes to the gods and the bust to the gods or whatever. That gives you the mythic 1 and 3 for your slavers craftables. So they're very rare. The statuettes, I can't remember last time I pulled them, and it might be something around a 0.5% chance to pull those from a given chest if I had to guess. The busts are extraordinarily rare. Only 2 of my guildies that I know of have ever pulled a bust since that system came out. With the bust is the +3 mythic, so extraordinarily rare. And no good way to, like, there's no specific chest or anything like that as far as I know. It's just random dumb luck. Okay, got a couple more topics here I want to mention. Things beyond, things that if I was going to make an advanced guide, this was my list that I was working from, but I don't know that I'm ever going to do that. Because this is kind of taking place of that. Okay, so one of the most common questions I get about Cannith Crafting is, at what level do you make your items? At what tiers? And I like to do 5, 10, 15, 20, generally speaking. But that's not, there's no hard science about what's the best levels to have your next item. So there are some considerations. One of the things that you want to consider is the power level on, for example, I have these level 7 Wisdom 5 goggles, and I don't know at what level that would get bumped up to 6. It might not be till 10. I can't remember. I think it might be 10. So, for example, so even though I actually, it's, I do have levels, so it's not, I'm not perfectly 5, 10, 15, I do have level 7 gear actually too. And I have some lower than 5 even, so it's not, it's not like at level 5 everything changes. It's just sort of what makes sense, because some of my consideration is the power level. So you wouldn't necessarily have like a level 8 or 9 version of these, because your wisdom isn't going to jump up. That's not going to make any sense. So the power level, the actual ability, you want to look at the actual ability that you're crafting, the bonus for the stat or the bonus for the spell power or whatever. So you want to look at that and see what's your next. That's one consideration. What's the next level where you get a meaningful boost? You don't want to necessarily have something 2 levels later because you're getting 5 more spell power out of that. Like, that's not, it's probably not a good use of your ingredients. It's probably not a good use of your bank space holding on to that stuff. Another consideration is your augments. Your augments are every 4 levels. There are level 4 augments, level 8 augments, 12, 16, 20, and so on. So you can also craft consider the fact that where your augments are. So, for example, my armor, I have level 8 armor crafted because at level 8, I know that I want to use a sapphire of heavy fortification. So my armor is outside of that 5, 10, 7 range, because I want that heavy fort. I don't want to wait till level 10 for heavy fort. Okay, and then my earlier armors, see if I can find it. Yeah, so I have a level 4 set of armor, because at level 4 you can get a sapphire of moderate fortification. It's 75% fortification at level 4. So that's another consideration, is you have to think about which augments you're going to put in there and what level are those augments. And you also want to consider, what's your playstyle. If you're not doing Reaper, well, if you're just doing regular questing, normal, hard, and elite questing, the demands are a lot lower. And it would be silly to have stuff like every 2 or 3 levels, if you're not doing Reaper mode and your demands are much less. And I realize everybody's skill level and etc. is different. So, but if you're doing Reaper, maybe you might want those level ranges a little tighter, because the demands of Reaper mode are really high, and so you really want to bring it as much as you reasonably can. That doesn't mean you have new stuff every level or even every other level, but you might want your level ranges to be a little bit tighter than 5, 10, 15, 20. for example. So just some considerations. Like I said, it's not a hard science. There's no like, yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20 is the best. Like there are considerations, and so now if you weren't aware of all these things, now you have more to think about when deciding what level you want to craft. Cormico, I don't know if you're watching the live stream or what, but I don't have that stuff. Okay, what are next topics? This was something that I mentioned in my advanced guide in the old system, and so I want to mention again that so your shields and your armors have absolute minimum levels associated with them, and they have different names. Okay, so for example, let's use these two as an example. So this is a low-level suit. This is a minimum level 3 item. You can see it's just hide armor. +2 insulated, 13 hide armor of invulnerability. So it's just, if I were to disjunct that, it would just say hide armor. Okay. Once you get up to level 4 is your next tier for all the different armors, whether it's hide, whether it's medium armor, breastplate, whatever, full plate. There's another name for the level 4 versions, the absolute minimum level 4 versions. So like with the hide, it's skirmish hide. And there's like, then there's the next tier is level 10, and it's like, mountain breastplate or whatever. I can't even remember all the names. And then at level 16, you have the, spirit craft or what, I don't know. There's just different names. If the stuff is tiered for level 4, there's an absolute level 4 version, absolute level 10, absolute minimum level 16, absolute minimum level 22, I believe, is the highest absolute minimum level for randomly generated. So the point is, if you're level 16, for example, you're crafting a level 16 set of armor for yourself, you don't want to use the basic hide armor. You want to use that higher absolute minimum level item. Or in this case, when I have my level 8 hide armor, I want to use the skirmish hide as a crafting blank. And preferably one of the slot. Slots are very easy to come by. They're very common now. When the new system first came out, they were a lot harder to come by. And green slotted items are still very rare, and they're still very valuable. You might be able to get a green slotted item on the shard exchange for 10 to 50 shards, depending on what it was. A ring might be probably the most expensive. It might be closer to 50 shards, whereas, maybe a necklace with a green slot, you might be able to find a cheapie for 10 shards. That just gives you a sort of ballpark range of what those things would run. But you can find them. But items with yellow and colorless slots, don't go spending a lot of money for those, because those are a dime a dozen. And blue slots on your armor, blue slots on your shields, dime a dozen. Don't go spending a lot of money for that stuff. I'm not saying, if there's this is the exact set of, this is the mountain plate that I want, and it's got a blue slot, and it's 50K on the auction. Yeah, fine, that's fine. But don't go spending, $500,000 plat to get some randomly generated armor with a blue slot, because that's a ripoff. Yeah, don't spend 100,000 on a cloak with a yellow slot, because that's a ripoff. If a cloak had a green slot, 100,000 would be a good price, but colorless or yellow, no. Yellow 3, green 5, colorless 1, filled ml of Augments. That's old system, Darkchild. But yeah, if it was disjuncted and just posted on the auction house, yeah, it would say, you're right, it would say minimum level 3 for yellow and 5 for green and 1 for colorless. But don't let that dissuade you, because that's a remnant of the old system, and you can overwrite that minimum level. See if I can find one. I try to keep these blanks when I find them. Okay, so here's... No, that's not the... Okay, yeah, so here's a good example. So here is a belt with a green slot. So when I found this in my random loot, and I just disjuncted it just to wipe it clean and make a crafting blank out of it. And you can see it says minimum level 5. But that is a remnant of the old system. In the old system, if you were working at the green slotted item, you couldn't make it lower than level 5. In the new system, I can put a minimum level 1 shard on that and it becomes minimum level 1. So that, but if you're looking in the auction house for items with slots, yeah, you might want to search like for specific levels. Also, if you are lucky enough to have the old double slotted blanks, these are crazy valuable. So here's an example of a belt that has both a colorless and a yellow slot. These haven't dropped for like 2 or 3 years. They very quietly took them out of the loot tables. These things used to be so common, and they were poison pills back in the day. I didn't want anything to do with them because they would raise the minimum level item by 5, and I didn't want that. In the old system, you didn't want that. Generally speaking, you wanted lower minimum level stuff. So I was like, I don't want this, and I would just throw them out. They were pretty common, right? And then they real quietly took them out of the loot tables. And then, 3 months later, I'm like, hey, where are the double slotted items? And it didn't even matter until like 2 years later when they came out with a new system, and suddenly these things are crazy valuable. Like that belt, you could post that on the shard exchange and probably get 500 to 1,000 shards for that. If you had a ring with 2 slots on it, oh man, you could just name your price. That stuff is crazy valuable now because it doesn't increase the minimum level anymore. You can set it to whatever minimum level you want. So when they came out with the new system, I only had a couple of these things floating around. I was so sad because I just remember just tossing these things, not wanting anything to do with them. But I know there's some people out there that got stashes of this stuff, and it's really, really valuable. You can make a lot of shards on the shard exchange if you had some extras. But these things are priceless. Maybe they'll come out with them again, but who knows. Okay, guys, those are all the topics I wanted to cover. I want to give you guys a few minutes. If you have any final questions about anything with Cannith Crafting, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not the expert, but like I said, I will do my best. And if you are new, watch my beginner's guide. Drax, you want me to show you by adding a minimum level shard? Okay, I'll do that. That's cheap to do. So I am going to craft at the bound station a minimum level 1 shard. 10 essences. Oh, now I go to the bound item station. I put my belt in there. I apply the minimum level 1 shard, and boom, the belt is now minimum level 1 with a green slot. There you have it. You have a great weekend too, Claude. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, little mama. Any last questions before I shut down the live stream, guys? So if you didn't know how to level quickly, now you do. Now is the time. Go out and scrounge up all of the essences you can from all your alts and just start plugging away, and you saw, I showed you, you can level up very, very quickly. I do not have the ear of the devs. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a mistake that, or an assumption that a lot of people have about me. They think that I have some in with the devs. I don't. I'm not friends with these guys. I'm not saying I don't like them. I'm just saying, like, I don't have a relationship with them. I don't have their ear. And I'm not a dev. Sometimes people have made the mistake thinking like I'm a dev or that I'm a GM, and I'm not, and I don't know any of them. I'm just a guy that likes to play this game. I'm just a guy that plays this game way too much, and this whole YouTube channel thing is just a hobby. I don't get anything for it. I just do it because I think it's fun. But yeah, the devs don't listen to me. I think they listen to the people who scream and cry on the forums more than they do me. Any chance they will change it so you can just re-level the item without destroying the crafted properties? I would love if they did. Don't hold your breath. That would be so amazing if you could just take your crafted item. Like if I could just take, you know, this has wisdom and true seeing on it. I could just slap on the level 10 shard on there and it became wisdom 6. I could just overwrite the minimum level, right? Instead of having to recraft all the others. That would be so amazing. If stuff is so expensive to craft, some of it is. That some of it's pretty cheap. If you've been picking up your collectibles, you've been, hitting all those mushrooms and, all the mosses and all the Barney Rubbles, then you should have a lot of the older stuff, but some of you may not have very much of the new stuff. That stuff's really expensive. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't expect them to ever do that, but I sure wish they would. And that's one of the things, when I was on the Players Council, that was one of the points that I brought up, and others did too. So they don't listen to me. Then why or why not they did or didn't do that, I don't know. They link my channel on their channel. Yeah, I am an official fan site, but that's something I had to apply for, and anybody can. If you have a website, whether it's a YouTube channel or a blog that's dedicated to DDO, or I think they have a threshold. It has to be like at least 70% DDO related. Then you can just fill out a very simple application, and they'll put you on their fan site list. Anybody can do that. And that was just something that I wasn't right away. I just made a few videos, and then I was like, well, you know what? I'd like other people to know that this resource is there, and that's the only reason I became an official fan site. And you just have some very simple stipulations, like you can't post things like exploits, you can't you basically have to stick to the user agreement, follow the rules. And it's the same thing that all of us are supposed to abide by. I'm just reading through some of the questions now. Amber Cyan is asking about the process to become, I guess, a fan site. So there was an application, but it's a very simple application, and as long as you meet some very basic criteria, like I said, you have your content is 70% DDO focused, you're abiding by the EULA, then you can become a fan site. It's a very easy thing to do. I don't get anything for that. But if you think if you have a website and you feel like you have resources that the community can benefit from, go for it. Darkchild says, one more pro tip: if you need more essences and you're out of junk loot, dissolve all those ML shards you use to level. You don't get much out of it. I would not advise that you do that unless you're really in a pinch for essences, because the return for that is really low. But yeah, you can get some essences back out of them if you crunch the ML shards you use to level up. And the reason why I say, if you don't have to do that, if you're not in a real pitch, don't, because you can just throw those minimal shards in your green bag, and you will use those eventually, more than likely. Yeah, you might get a couple more craftings out of it if you did that. 1 essence per the minimal shard. Okay, I didn't realize that was the formula. That's good to know. Okay, guys, I hope you found this helpful. I do want to let you guys know that I will be on DDOcast tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And the topic is going to be, so that's tomorrow, September 3rd, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a debate on a variety of topics. And it's going to, things like, the upcoming, like, cleric domains and sentient weapons, and some listener questions as well. So maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to continue to watch the chat for about 5 minutes after I shut down the live stream. If there are any last minute questions, thanks again, and you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. Take care.